Welcome back to Behind the Business, and today I'm going to be sharing with you how to position yourself as the obvious choice in your coaching business. So one of the biggest misconceptions in business is that the best coach wins. And I have a lot of coaches say to me like, oh, there's just so many other people in my niche that have been doing this for so much longer and, it's so saturated. Here's the thing. Your niche, this industry may be saturated, but it's not competitive because most people, unfortunately, lack consistency, lack the skill set, they don't invest in themselves. And the moment things get tough, which will happen as an entrepreneur, they fall behind, they quit, they give up, they blame, they externalize. And it means that even though they've got all these qualifications, all of this experience, and these big goals and desires, they fall behind. So it may be saturated, but it's not competitive. And if you know how to position yourself as the obvious choice in your field, then you're gonna have no troubles signing clients. And just before we get into this episode, another thing I wanna share is that there's plenty of people on the planet that need your help. So even in your space, if there's lots of amazing coaches, great. That's an amazing thing. It validates that there is a need for what you do, and there are going to be people that resonate with you based on your personality, your location, your way of doing things over other people. Like there's enough to go around. I'm a business coach for online coaches, and there's lots of other business coaches for online coaches, and I'm not worried about that. Coaches need help. There's a lot of coaches, and I can't help everyone. I'm not for everyone either, and not everyone is for me. But there will be some people that resonate with me over other business coaches that are even more skilled than me, have been in the industry more than me, and that's okay. So just remember that there is enough to go around. There's plenty of people, there's plenty of money, you don't have anything to worry about. And you still want to position yourself as that obvious choice for your ideal client, and you want to do the best you can to do so. And there's a lot of mistakes I see coaches make that stops them from positioning themselves. And I could talk about a lot of things, but particularly today, I'm going to be talking about 5 things that every coach needs if they want, ideal clients to stop scrolling and start thinking, this is exactly who I've been looking for. Because when you do this right, people will buy from you right away. Like I probably once a week have someone that has found me from an ad or scrolling on Instagram. They come across one of my posts. It's so specifically speaking to exactly what it is they want. It's speaking specifically into their problems, and they resonate with me and my energy that they reach out and then they buy. No sales calls, no follow-ups, no, I need to think about this for 15 years before I move forwards. Like they just move forwards. So it's not about being the best coach, it's about being the clearest coach, okay? So let's dive in. The first thing is getting crystal clear on who you help. This is probably the biggest positioning mistake that I see. Coaches trying to appeal to everyone, thinking that, oh, if I just appeal to everyone, then I'm gonna sign more clients, when actually the opposite is true, If you say things like, I help women become their best selves, or I help business owners succeed and make more money, or I help people transform their lives, these things are very, very broad, very generic, and it's weak messaging, right? And no one buys from weak messaging. They buy from clear messaging. They buy from an expert, someone that they believe can truly help them. So the more specific you are, the easier it is for someone to recognize themselves in your messaging. You don't want people thinking, that sounds interesting. Like you want them thinking, wow, that is me. Like that is exactly me. Once people know you're speaking to them, the second step is making it obvious what problem you specifically solve. So just know that people don't actually buy coaching. They buy a result. They buy solutions, right, to their problems. So instead of focusing on what you do, focus on what changes for them. So for example, I don't position myself as a business coach. Sorry. I help coaches scale to 30K months with a clear calendar most days of the week. The problem I'm solving is that a lot of my ideal clients are bottlenecked. They are on back-to-back calls. They're exhausted. They're currently building a business model that just requires more of them in order to grow. And there's only so much of you that you can give. So immediately people know who I help, the result I help them achieve, how I do it differently, and that creates clarity, and clarity creates conversions, all right? The third thing is giving people a reason to remember you. Here's the thing, most coaches sound exactly the same. They all talk about mindset, they all talk about freedom, success, alignment, growth. These are very overused words in the coaching industry. And I'm not saying you can never use them. I use those words from time to time, but not in isolation without context or more specificity alongside it. Because those things matter, but they're not really positioning because everyone says those words. So what makes you memorable is not what you teach necessarily, but it's what you believe. So what do I believe most people in my industry don't? For me, it's that scaling doesn't have to mean working more hours. So that's the angle that I drill down on all of the time. Now, obviously, there are seasons where we need to work more and do more and all of the things, but for the most part, I used to have this strong belief that scaling meant I would be exhausted and I would burn out. And so that belief actually stopped me from scaling to begin with. And then when I realized that that actually wasn't true, all of a sudden, I had this confidence that I wasn't gonna lose all my freedom that I really cared about, and I scaled my business. And that took me from 30K a month to now over 250K a month, and we're still growing every single month. And so your beliefs matter, by the way, but that was such a big belief for me for many years, which is why I stayed in the same place so many years. And now that I've realized that belief is false, I'm on a big mission to help other people believe that you don't have to exhaust yourself and burn out constantly in order to grow your business. So that's my positioning, and I come back to that again and again and again. So, I really believe that as your business gets bigger, your life can actually get better. And I believe that businesses should become simpler as they grow, not the other way around. These are some misconceptions in the space. So my belief shows up in everything that I do, from my podcast, my YouTube, my social media content, my programs, everything. There's that messaging. And so people come to me to learn how to get, how to grow a business that has a clear calendar most days of the week, or how to grow a business that is more spacious, is more sustainable, is more simple. That is why they're coming to me, I'm not saying other business coaches don't use those words, they do, but they have other angles that they might go about at a deeper level, and some business coaches really do have the complete opposite of you have to do more and work more, and that's fine too. The people that resonate with that kind of messaging can do that. I'm not against hard work. I'm not saying you shouldn't work and you shouldn't work hard. You need to, and you don't have to design it in a way where you're on back-to-back calls, because that will cap your growth. So that is that. Your unique perspective is what makes people remember you. And I teach a process called Your Signature Method. I teach this to my clients, and it's about creating a unique approach that other other coaches don't have. So mine is called the Scalable System, and it's broken into 3 core essential pillars from my belief, which is having a sustainable strategy so that you get leads without burning out, having a seamless sales process so that you can make money without the plateaus, and having simple systems so you can create freedom without the overwhelm. And I believe when you implement those 3 pillars and the components that go within each, you're going to spaciously scale your business. So all I ever talk about in my free workshops and all of my content is that is all you need, because that's been my experience. I only need those 3 things, and one without the other will cause major issues in your business. So I'm immediately positioned as unique because no other business coach teaches the scalable system and those 3 pillars, right? And so I teach my clients how to create their own signature method so that they can really stand out. Now, the 4th thing is backing up your message with proof, okay? Because positioning isn't just about what you say, it's about what people believe, and belief comes from evidence. I like to think about proof in 3 core categories. The first is your own results, the second is your client's results, and the third is external evidence, like research, data, facts, or stats that support what it is you're saying to prove what you're saying, right? And if you're newer to business and you're like, but I don't have dozens of client wins, or I don't have any clients or wins, well, then you would focus on your results. You would double down on that to make up for the fact that you don't have that, because we all start with no client results. That doesn't mean you need to work for free for years, like I see some people do. I've never done that, so when I didn't have any client results, I just kept talking about my results. And that is how I got client results. So just lean more heavily on your journey and use external evidence if and where possible, okay? Borrow credibility that way. But over time, of course, your goal is to build as many client success stories as possible. It builds trust super, super fast, because it's one thing for me to do it for myself, but can I help other people to do it? That's what my ideal clients are looking for. It's like, but can you help me do it? And if they can see themselves in my clients' results, it helps build that trust of like, well, if they can do it, maybe I can do it. So you want to get case studies, testimonials, screenshots, videos, stories, anything you can to help back what it is you do. The fifth is consistency, okay? If you want to position yourself as the obvious next choice and you are inconsistent, I ain't trusting you and I ain't buying from you. It's as simple as that. So like one mistake that I see all the time is coaches changing things all the time. They're messaging. One week they're talking about productivity, the next it's mindset, the next it's confidence, the next it's marketing, then habits and boundaries, whatever it is, right? But like changing your messaging, changing your I help statement, jumping and starting and stopping all of the time. Your audience doesn't want variety in that way. Sure, can you create variety in other ways, like through your content? Yeah, get creative with your content, whatever. But don't get too creative with your messaging. Stay on the same topic, but talk about it from different angles and in different ways. That's how you can do variety, not changing your messaging all of the time, because people need consistency. Imagine if Apple one day had that branding of being white and the next minute they were red, the next minute they were purple, the next minute they were green, and different fonts and this and that. Apple is known for one of the strongest brands because they remain the same. You know, they're really just double downing on their zone of genius. They're not changing things all of the time. Is there a time and place for upgrading things? Of course. There's many iterations I've had in business, but I'm strategic about it. I'm intentional about it. And I'm not jumping around back and forth, okay? It's okay to take a bit to figure out kind of what your lane is, and you figure that out through putting things out there. That's okay. But when you have a business coach and you have support with this, you're gonna nail it much faster and then create that consistency much faster, because your audience needs repetition. They need to hear something at the right time and place. And if you're not repeating the message, you know, they might not get that message again and they need it, right? So you don't become known by saying 50 different things. You become known by saying the same important thing hundreds of times. Every piece of content should reinforce what you want to become known for. So every free masterclass I do, all of my social media content, everything I do comes back to you need the scalable system if you want to spaciously scale your coaching business. Like, it's as simple as that. Now, here's what I actually want to leave you with. Positioning isn't about becoming better than everyone else. I am not the best business coach out there on the planet, and that's okay. It's about becoming the best fit for a very specific person. That is a huge difference. When your positioning is clear, the right people naturally are going to feel drawn to you, right? And the wrong people will naturally move on, which is kind of what you want, okay? So before we finish up today, I really want you to ask or answer these 5 questions. Is it obvious who I help? Is it obvious what problem I solve? Do I have a unique perspective people remember? Am I showing enough proof? And am I repeating the same message consistently? Because when you can answer yes to all 5, you can stop competing on price, you stop needing to convince people, and you become the obvious choice for your ideal client.